The Belgium League, now they are the first major league to cancel the season. Basically, Club Brugge has been named the league champion. They're already 15 points ahead of Ghent with one game remaining. Brugge secures a Champions League group stage spot. The second place, Ghent, secures a third round qualifying place in the Champions League. Meeting will be held on April the 15th to ratify decision. Let's welcome in Jules and Craig. Jules, I just want to start with you. Just explain why this isn't quite the big deal that some are making it.
Well, I think it is a big deal. You can always argue that this is not one of the top 5 leagues in Europe and that it's a bit different because of the structure of the league. As you said, there's a regular season, a bit like in the NBA, for example, in the US, and then you've got the playoffs. But even the playoffs, you still take half of the points that you earn in that regular season. So, say, for example, Bruges would have had a very comfortable cushion at top of that mini playoff leagues, if you want, to go and win the title. But still, for them to cut out the last game of the regular season plus the 10 games that they would have played in those playoffs to win the league is quite significant. And it's basically for them saying we would not have finished those games. We would have maybe had to play them behind closed door. We don't know yet. There's so much uncertainty that it's much better for everybody to cancel the rest of the season. You can go on holiday. Well, you can have holidays if you want. You can stay at home and have holidays. But still, and then we will plan the next season ahead. And I think there will be a lot of other leagues and maybe smaller leagues like we see already in Holland in the Eredivisie that will think, you know what, this is a good plan. This is a good action.
Craig, do you agree with this plan?
Well, they've still got to sort out the relegation issue. And I've actually, for the first time in my life, went through the structure of the Belgium League today. And as Jules mentioned, you know, the playoff system at the end with the half points for the teams prorated. Then they have the 15th and 16th team going into a playoff at the bottom. So there's relegation to think about. The one thing, if we're taking it to the Premier League, Dan, I've always said this. The most simplistic thing out of anything, and I said this last week, I think it was Liverpool are going to win the title. The difficulty comes when you have to figure out the Champions League places. Now, the Champions League is obviously worth quite a few bob for these clubs, but it's not do or die. When we get to relegation, right, if you say, for example, the season finishes now and the 3 teams that are in the bottom 3 are going to be relegated, the financial implications of that are going to be horrendous, and I think would be legally challenged, because we've seen many clubs. If you look at Nottingham Forest, 2-time European champions, Leeds United, Sheffield Wednesday, the list goes on of clubs that have gone down to the Championship and have struggled to come back. Forest have been 20 years. So, and some of these clubs are closer are to going out of existence. So if you say this season's going to finish now, the places are where they are, and these 3 teams at the bottom who have got the biggest financial pitfall to face from the relegation, even with the parachute payments, I think that is a legal minefield.
If I was to push you, Craig, and you had to make one choice, void the season or give it out as it is now, Liverpool champions, those in the relegation zone go down, which one would you choose?
Well, purely on a football sense, I would say Liverpool champions and everybody stays where they are. But I don't think that is going to work for the reasons that I just said. The legality of it is going to be so complex. The finances of it are going to be so complex, particularly for the teams down the bottom of the league, for the reasons that I mentioned. I do not want to see this league being voided, Dan, but I'm kind of thinking at the moment, and that has got its own legal pitfalls, by the way, for clubs that potentially could have come up from the Championship, who are waiting on the financial rewards of getting to the Premier League. But I think that is at the moment voiding the season, if this pandemic continues at the rate it is, would be at the moment, I think, the lesser of the 2 evils.
That's kind of what we're discussing, isn't it, Jules?
Yes, and tomorrow morning, lunchtime, there will be another meeting for all the Premier League clubs with the Premier League and also the PFA, and a lot of other subjects will be talked about. But the main one, once again, will be what can we do with this season? Can we resume it at some point, and whenever that is, under in what way, what structure? Do we do half of the games remaining? Do we do this isolation sort of mini World Cup that was mentioned last weekend, for example? Do we do all games behind closed door? Do we wait for fans to be able to come out? There's obviously all those scenarios possible, but there's also, like Craig said, two big ones. One, that we stop the season now and it's void and it doesn't count, nothing counts. Or we stop the season now and we said, listen, these circumstances are extraordinary. We've never seen anything like this. So instead of having a 38-game season, we will only have a 29 and 28 for some clubs. And this is it. This is the way it is. And people can sue, people can do whatever they want. Clubs cannot be happy, but that's the decision we've taken. We have a shorter season because of the situation that we are in now and the crisis that we are in now. And people have to accept that Liverpool are the champions. The next three teams will be in the Champions League. The bottom three will either remain or go down. Then like the Belgian League, we will take a decision. But again, tomorrow, that will be a big, a lot of time, I think, spent on what can we do? What are we going to do?
Jules and Dan, guys, is there no way this can be moved into a more calendar year until we can get back on an even keel? For example, we don't finish the season until almost, Christmas time. We then find a way to get it more into the calendar year that will fit in with the 2022 World Cup. Until such time they can figure out how to get it back round to where we are now. Is there no way, for example, Jules, that we could do that for 2 or 3 years in the meantime to get all these seasons finished and then eventually get it back into and mandated into where we are now with an August through May finish?
So, for example, in Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, that's the idea that he has as well, that we start the 2021 season in February, so in February 2021. And like you said, you plan it in the calendar year, you've got enough time then to play until the 2022 World Cup, for example. And that's how you structure your 2 seasons to come, for example. And in France, André Villas-Boas, the Marseille manager, and Christian Gourcuff as well, the non-manager, I've said that they think this could work. This is a good idea. You have people like Alain Giresse who is thinking, why don't we either keep the points that all the teams have now, and you stop the season now. You don't play the remaining games, but you keep those points for next season. You could also play the remaining games. You just stop the season as it is now, and we don't play for 3 months until everything is much better and everybody is much happier. And then when you start the next season in September, let's say, or October, you count the remaining games of this current season for next season. So everybody still plays those games, so you still have the money coming in from gate revenues, from TV right holders and all of that. It's just that those games counts for the following season. I mean, it's like what we were saying on Monday. You can have millions of ideas. You can play on the moon if you want to and if that's safe and healthy. It's just that we will have to pick, or not us, but the clubs and the Premier League will have to pick what they think is the best one.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.